fluid power technology. This is our first chapter according to our syllabus. The fluid power technology is based, or fluid power, the transmission of fluid power is based on two laws. One is Pascal's law and second one is Bernoulli's law. First of all, what is Pascal's law? It's a principle, it's the statement of principle. Thus, Pascal's law is a principle in a fluid mechanics given by Blaise Pascal that states that a pressure change at any point in a confined, incompressible fluid. There are 2 points at a confined and in incompressible fluid. It transmitted through the fluid such that the same change occurs everywhere. That the pressure in a confined fluid in a pipe, when the pipe is closed, the fluid pressure acting each and every section of the pipe become equal. In simple, this is the Pascal's law. There are so many statements related to the Pascal's law. The science behind the hydraulics is Pascal's law principle, essentially because the liquid in pipes is incompressible. That is the important term, that is the fluid medium must be incompressible. The pressure must stay a constant. That is, the pressure is constant in each and every point of the pipe, all the way through it when it is flowing or it is become stable. Even when you are pushing it hard one and to the another. That is the state of transmission of power. If it is state, there is no transmission of power. If it pushes, the fluid moves from one direction to the another. That is transmitting power from one side to the another. And this is the example of lifting a car. Here, there are some points are given. In the initial stage, the original force is given, that is F1 is equal to P1A1, where P1 is equal to F1A1. P1 is the pressure at the area of section 1, F1 is the force of at the area of section 1, and similarly, area of A1. That is, remind that here P1 is equal to P2. That is, in the other section, we are using to lift the car. In the second section at the F2, P2 A2 is equal to 10 into F1. Because of the area A2 is 10 times greater than A1. Therefore, we are taking F1, P1 is constant, P1 and P2 is constant. Then the only variable is A2 and A1. A1 is small, where we are applying a small pressure, and in the case of section 2, we are getting a more force because of the enlarged area. But here the pressure is same. That is the principle behind the Pascal's law. This, we are applying a small force and getting a large force on the other side by enlarging the area, not changing the pressure, not changing anything. That is the importance. And the second one is Bernoulli's theorem. Here some statements are given, but you can state the Bernoulli's theorem in different way. The Bernoulli's theorem, which is also known as the Bernoulli's principle, states that an increase in the speed of moving air or a flowing fluid accompanied by a decrease in the air or fluid pressure. That means the pressure changes or sum of the kinetic energy, that is the velocity head, the pressure energy, that is the static head, and the potential energy, that is the energy possessed by the position of the liquid at any points remain same, provided that the condition, the flow is steady, irrotational, and frictionless, and the fluid is incompressible. The essence is that the total energy means the kinetic energy, potential energy, and the pressure energy remains same in a flowing fluid through a confined space, irrespective of some condition, with respect to some condition, not a respective, with respect to some condition. That is, the flow is steady, irrotational, and frictionless. In another way, for a perfect incompressible liquid flowing in a continuous stream, the total energy of a particle remains the same, while the particles moves from one point to another. You can take this statement in your notebook. And also you can add what are the types of energy. The types of energy is kinetic energy, pressure energy, and the potential energy. That is here we given, that is P1 by rho g is the pressure energy, plus Z1 is the datum energy or the potential energy, plus 1 by 2g U1 squares. U1 squares means that the energy at the section 1. There are so many equations we can write by this one. This states that in two sections of the pipe, section 1 and section 2, the energy same. Where there is an H1 is given, and H1 is also given. H1 is some kind of losses may be there. That is P1 by rho g plus Z1 plus 1 by rho 2g by U1 squares is equal to P2 by rho g plus Z2 plus 1 by 2g plus U2 squares plus H1. H1 is the loss. The 1 indicate the section 1 and 2 indicate the section 2. And the Bernoulli's equation have the following assumptions. We are explained. The real fluid, one is a steady flow and an infinitesimal stream tube, constant density, and initial reference frame. Initial reference frame, there is no inertia because of the flow is frictionless. That is important. When the flow is friction, the energy obeys the law obeys, does not obey the rule. And the ideal fluid flow or a viscid flow does not cause. That is the ideal fluid flow. We have already discussed that the viscid flow, that is the viscosity changes, flow does not causes the energy losses, while a real fluid flow or a viscous flow will cause the energy loss. In energy loss are considered, the Bernoulli's equation can be written in another form, the same form that is explained earlier, where H is the energy loss caused by the frictional forces. And the statement in another form, same one, here instead of U, V is given and V1, V2 is given. That is the only difference. And rho g H1, instead of Z, rho g H1, rho is the density, g is the acceleration due to gravity, H1 is the height in the first place, and H2 is the height in the second place. That is, in the first equation we given the Z, Z1 and Z2. You can use either of these two equations. And this is the statement explained in the Venturi tube. A Venturi tube is a tube that is initially the diameter is larger, the diameter decreases gradually, and then the diameter increases. Then what is the condition? The velocity condition first. That is the kinetic energy condition. At V1, what happens? The kinetic energy per unit volume, that is half P1 V squared, and the flow of velocity V2. And the third case, the velocity V3. We can compare this case, the velocity and the pressure with respect to area. Otherwise, we can take any consideration in relation between the velocity and pressure without considering the area. See the situation. A2 is less than A1. A2 is less than A1. And V2 is greater than V1. Therefore, P2 is greater than P1. This is the concept. Here, but we are taking the pressure energy, the first equation, the kinetic energy per unit volume, potential energy per unit volume equals the same pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy. The sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy at the section remains same. But seeing that in the initial case, that is at the section 1, where V1 and P1 is noted, where the pressure energy is more, but the velocity energy is less. And in section 2, that's the flow velocity V2 and P2, that is V2 is more than that of V1. That is velocity energy is increased and the pressure energy is decreased. So there is a change in energy. Change in energy. That is pressure energy is reduced and the velocity energy increased. See that the potential energy. The tube is placed horizontally. Therefore, the depth from the earth, that is the height from the above earth is same. Thus, in both cases, rho g h1 and rho g h2 is same. That is, we can say that z1 is equal to z2. If a tube is placed at an angle, the z1, that is rho g h1, is different and rho g h2 is different. Therefore, there may be a change in the potential energy also. The means of the Bernoulli's equation is that the energy of a flowing particle at any section remains same unless the energy is added to the system or extracted from the system, and the condition is the flow is frictionless, non-viscous. So please note the points. And we can compare the hydraulic and the pneumatic system. We basically studies what is hydraulic system and the pneumatic system. I remind that is in hydraulic system, the fluid, that is the oil, is used as a working medium which is circulated inside the system. But in pneumatic system, the compressed air is used as a medium, and after doing the work, it is went to the atmosphere. Let us look the comparison between the hydraulic system and the pneumatic system. That it employs the pressurized liquid as a fluid, but the pneumatic system employs compressed gas. And as an oil, hydraulic system operate at high pressure up to 700 bar. That is, it is used for many heavy applications in our construction work and for lifting heavy bridges, etc. But the pneumatic system is used for a medium pressure range, that 5 to 10 bar. That is in the case of opening and closing of the lift doors, buses doors, and foodstuff, catching some foodstuff materials, etc. And the hydraulic system is generally designed as a closed system. That is, the fluid medium is recirculated. But in the pneumatic system, after doing the work, the fluid, that is gas, is expelled to the atmosphere. And the fourth one, the system slows down when the leakage occurs. That is the main problem of hydraulic system, the leakage and the hygienic conditions. And the leakage does not affect the system too much, but it will affect the working. Therefore, it may cause us a springly motion. And the fifth one, the valve operations are difficult because of high pressure is exerted on the control valves for controlling the direction of valves. You can see the hands of the JCB. It moves for picking something, and after picking, it comes back. It is operated by a double acting cylinder, by an extension stroke and a retraction stroke. During the extraction stroke, the length, the arm of the JCB moves, and by operating another valve, it peaks, and the retraction stroke, it comes to the original place. So the valve operations are difficult. And in second case, the valve operations are easy because of small size, small pressure applications are used, heavier in weight and lighter in weight. That is common. Pumps are used to provide pressurized liquid. There are many pumps, gear pump, low pump, vane pump, etc. But see that here we are not using hydrodynamic pumps. Here we are using the positive displacement pump that we can study later. And in the second case, compressors are used to provide the compressed gas. And an automatic lubrication is provided. Mainly, the oils are self-lubricated, but there is no lubrication in atmospheric air. Therefore, we give some provision or some mechanism of lubrication for lubricating the atmospheric air. Then some of the advantages of the hydrostatic drive. Actually, it is only for your information. You can study the notes and take a dictation also. That is simple method to create linear movements. Linear means straight line movements. Creation of large forces and torques, high energy density, continuously variable movement of the actuator. Actuator is the output of the system. Remind that the actuator is the output of the system. That is the cylinder. It may be a single acting cylinder, double acting cylinder, or a rotary actuator. That is, you can see the rotary actuator in JCB. That's for rotating the arms, just like our human arms. A simple turnaround of the directions of the movement starting possible under the full load of from thrust. For this purpose, we are using the directional control valves. The control valves direct the flow of liquid through the pipelines. Therefore, we can direct the motion of the arms. Low delay, small time constant because of low inertia. Simple overload protection, don't omit in case of overload. You can see sometimes when JCB works or taking higher loads, its pipes may broken and the oil expels. So at that time, the JCB work stops. This is the condition. This has happened when the JCB taking the overload. So the system is designed for a particular pressure. If the pressure exceeds, how the pressure exceeds? That is P by A, that is F by A. When we are taking the high load, that is F is high, the area remains same. Therefore, the load, the pressure is increases. That is, pressure inside the system increases dramatically when the external load increases. In that case, the safety devices may fail and the pipe may broken. But the statement is not 100% clear. Simple monitoring of load by measuring the pressure. There are some measuring devices are given. Arbitrary positioning of prime movers and actuators. Large power density, relatively small mass from a given power compared to electrical and mechanical drives. These are the some advantages. Robust, that is large. Insensitive against environmental fluctuation, that is influences. And the main disadvantages of hydrostatic drives are working fluid is necessary. That is, oil is necessary. Oil is costly. The same grade of oil is, the perfect grade of oil is required. And the main disadvantage is the leakage problem, filtering, etc. and it is not economical for large distances. That is another factor. See that is if you want to transmit the power from a 10 meter, it is not possible in the case of an hydrostatic drive. Then hydrostatic fluid task, which means what is the function of the fluid used in the hydraulic system? What is the function? The first one is power transmission. That is, the hydraulic power is transmitted to mechanical power by pressure and motion transmission in simple. Signal transmission for control. That is, there are some kind of valve known as the directional control valves. The function of the directional control valves to change the direction of motion of the actuator. And there are flow control valves. The flow control valves used to control the speed of the actuator. And the secondary tasks are lubricating of the rotating and translating components to avoid friction and wear. That is, the lubricating oil in the hydraulic system, that is the oil used in the hydraulic system, is a self-lubricant. It has a lubricant property. The heat transport, that the carrying out the heat generated. When there is a moving parts, the friction is there, the heat is generated. Therefore, the heat generated is taken away from the location of heat generation into the reservoir. It is done after doing the work. And transport of particles to the filter. That is, the oil may also contain the contaminants like debris. Therefore, a filter is provided to filter items. Because of the contaminant items entered in the pipeline, there may be a chance of corrosion, blocking, clogging, etc. Then protection of surfaces from chemical attack, especially corrosion. If the atmospheric air or the moisture contained in a hydraulic fluid enters in the pipeline, there is a chance of deoxidation. Because of the liberation of oxygen and hydrogen, the oxidant reacts with the walls of the pipeline and the control valves. There is a chance of corrosion. That's the functional good lubricating characteristic. Viscosity should not depend strongly on temperature and pressure, because you can see that the viscosity of fluid varies depends upon the climatic conditions. In our region, the temperature is around 30-32 degrees Celsius. See the coconut oil. When we take a coconut oil in our area, or it goes to somewhere in Kashmir, it is frozen. Therefore, the oil used in the system may have chance of frozen when it is used in cold conditions. Therefore, selecting an hydraulic oil is very important. For that purpose, we are looking some properties of hydraulic fluids and good heat conductivity, low heat expansion coefficient, large elasticity modulus, that is modulus of elasticity, and economic condition must be low price and slow aging, and thermal and chemical stability, low life cycles. Safety, high flash point, or in certain cases, not inflammable at all. That's hydraulic fluids are used on general applications. It is not used in textile, paper mills, and foodstuff industries, where there is a chance of fire hazards and a hygienic reason. If the oil gets leaked, there is a chance of hazards. And chemically neutral, low air dissolving capacity, not inclined to form the formation, environmental friendliness, no environmental harm, no toxic effects. Then hydraulic fluid types, water, mineral oil, not inflammable fluid, and biological degradable fluid. It's only for your information. And electrogeological fluids in development. These are the contents of the hydraulic fluid. This is not much important as per your syllabus point of view. So I am going to the slides. Water. And its advantages, has some disadvantages also. I'm going through the slides because it is not important as per your syllabus. Just go through the slides so you can get some more information. It can be used in some work. That is the properties of the mineral oil and its advantages and disadvantages is the not inflammable fluids, its advantages and disadvantages, biologically degradable fluids, and the next one is application of fluid power.